besties! Welcome to the
CB Friends Daily Show.
with
Eva,
Arianna,
Arianna.
Eva. Okay, so today is our first day. It's a very special day. We had a lot of things going on. A lot of CB friends were running around and doing several things. So we will talk a little bit about that. But first, we should talk what happened last year. Do you remember last year?
I don't remember. Can we roll a clip?
Yes, please. And we are back, besties. So a lot happened last year. I unfortunately was not there, but I know you were there. What do you think?
I was there, and a very interesting topic that came out was human mobility in the context of climate change. But I think you have a CB friend that can tell us more about this, don't you?
Oh, yes. So our first CB friend, I was able to talk to him here. We are at COP30, by the way. We didn't say that. But well, is Alfonso Herrera. I don't know if you know who's Alfonso Herrera.
Who doesn't know Alfonso Herrera?
Alfonso Herrera is an actor, Mexican actor. I actually remember seeing him several times when I was young. And now he's also the Goodwill Ambassador for UNHCR, I think. And he is talking a lot and helping raise awareness about climate mobility. Human mobility in the context of climate change. It's a complicated topic. Let's go and see what he said. Hi, welcome to the Capacity Building Friends Daily Show. My name is Arianna, and I'm here with Alfonso Herrera. We are going to talk a little bit about climate mobility in the context of climate change and how climate change impacts refugees and displaced communities around the world. So, welcome. Thank you very much for being here with us.
No, thank you very much and welcome.
Okay. Alfonso, that's the first question. How climate change impacts refugees and displaced communities?
Well, when we are talking about refugees, we're talking about 117 million people that have been forced to flee. And at the same time, if we talk about the climate crisis, 3/4 of those people are being affected due to that. So we're talking about 90 million. So it's a conversation that we need to have. And I think that COP30 is the perfect space to give those voices a change and a possibility to change their life in a positive way.
Of course. Then the second question is, refugees and displaced people are also leading the way.
Yes.
And that's really interesting. I think you have been talking about how some of the solutions to tackle climate change and in the context of climate mobility. Could you share some examples?
Yes. A couple of months ago, I had the possibility of going to Oruchinga and to Nakivale refugee settlements in Uganda, and I've met many families, and I've heard many stories. And one of those stories, it really created a huge impact on me. And one of those was the story of Prince, a 16-year-old refugee from DRC, and he said something that was incredibly potent. He said, "Refugees are gold," because he wants to give back the country that received him everything that they've done for him. He wants to study artificial intelligence. He is playing volleyball, and he wants to do it in a high level. He wants to become part of the national team. And yesterday, I met incredible women at the Warao community, not so far away from here. And these are powerful women. And they said, we have the knowledge. We have the knowledge because we know the forest, we know the surroundings. The only thing that we need are the tools in order for us to know to implement what we already know. Also, there are other stories, like also in Akibale, I was talking with the doctors and the people that are helping refugees in those settlements, and I saw that they were taking out food, like rice, that they were going to use in October and November. And I said, but we're in May and April. And they say, exactly, that's right, we have no time. We have no time. And that's why we are here, to use our platform to help those people that have been forced to flee.
That's really, really interesting. I think many communities are feeling it, and they, like, we see it around the world, everywhere. You can see the disasters happening around us, like, and no one is free for that.
Exactly.
From that.
Nobody can escape from that. If we take the examples of, just to talk about Brazil, like the floods that occurred in Rio Grande del Sur not so long ago, the floods in Rio de Janeiro in 2022, the situation in Honduras, the climate crisis, it has hit severely that country. And also, I can give you examples in Somalia, I can give you examples in Asia. No one can escape that, and it's important to have that in mind. That's why we are here. And also, when we talk about refugees, we're talking about at some point in the way there was an injustice. And when we talk about climate crisis, we're also talking about voices that have not been heard. And we need those voices to be heard. We need those voices to be included in the internal policies of the countries.
Thank you. That's super, super powerful. And well, as a last message, maybe do you have something would you like to tell to the leaders here at COP related to climate change?
I don't want to create an echo about it, but I think I already said that, to include those voices into the policies of the countries. Because as Prince said, refugees are gold.
Oh, so that's really, really nice. To finalize, something to lighten the mood.
I didn't say that. Prince said that.
Yeah, well, I would love to meet Prince.
He's an amazing guy.
Just to lighten a little bit the mood, I will tell you 3 words, and you tell me the first thing that pops up to your mind.
Please.
Climate change.
Urgency.
Okay, nature.
Life.
Life is nature and life, perfect. Capacity building.
Knowledge.
Perfect. So thank you very much.
And we're back, besties, after this very touching and emotional message. Now, we've looked into our past of the Capacity Building Hub, but let's go back to the present. We're filming this right now. It's end of day 1 of the Means of Implementation Day of the Capacity Building Hub. Now, should we tell them what Means of Implementation means for some of those that might not know?
It sounds very complicated, but it's actually easier than you might think. You can think of it like 3 big pillars.
And you want to form a triangle with them, because while we look at them separately, they're all interconnected and they're all part of this bigger puzzle. So what's the first one?
Finance.
Then we have capacity building.
And technology.
Easy as that. But I think we probably have some CB friends that can tell us more about this. Don't you, Arianna?
I think so.
How about we start with climate finance? Maybe we can hear from our dear colleague Sonke Kreft from UNU-EHS. Roll the clip. So COP30 is the COP for implementation. Now, why is climate finance such a critical pillar of the Means of Implementation?
Okay, I mean, for several reasons. One, climate action needs resources. For mitigation, we need to get finance, we need to get grants, we need to get concessional finance, all the instruments, you name it. Climate adaptation also needs resources, so that's a simple reason. So through the international framework, we like to enable climate action, hence we need finance. Simple question. I think there's also another question around the UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement, and that is to climate finance, you can actually enable poorer countries to already go into climate action that richer countries did at a much later stage. So we basically can, every country can engage in climate action. We also uphold the principles of the Convention of common but differentiated responsibilities. And so I would say it's a bit the lubricant to make climate action happen.
Now onto a fireside chat. I say one word and then you say whatever the first word that comes to mind that's associated to that word. So if I say climate action, what's the first word that you think of?
Climate action?
Climate action.
It's necessary. Necessity.
How about means of implementation?
Necessity.
How about muchirao?
Like to see something coming out of it. And COP30.
And we're back, besties. And it was quite interesting what Senke told us. Senke works with me at the UNU-EHS, but then I was able to interview someone that works with you, right?
Mm-hmm. And that would be Alejandro Kilpatrick of the Capacity Building Subdivision of the UNFCCC.
I think he's a bestie, CB, bestie. And he talked about capacity building. Let's see him. So COP30 is the COP of implementation. So why is capacity building one of the key pillars for this implementation?
No, I think as one former executive secretary of the UNFCCC used to say, you cannot have enhanced ambition without capacity building. Capacity building is fundamental to help countries obtain the skills, knowledge, and abilities to implement, for example, the nationally determined contributions and the national adaptation plans. So capacity building is cross-cutting. You always need capacity building for something. But in this context, it's important also that these capacities that are built are retained at countries. Meaning that it's not about just having a workshop or a training, it's having more integrated systems that allow these capacities to remain over time and not be solely dependent on individuals. So, and when we talk about the means of implementation, we have three pillars in the means of implementation: finance, technology, and capacity building. So they're all interconnected. You cannot talk about, for example, having a lot of money, but if you don't know how to spend it, if you don't have the capacity to spend it, then it's not generating the impact you want. So that's why it's important that capacity building is recognized as a key pillar, but not on isolation, together with finance and technology. And here is what we're learning here at the Capacity Building Hub in the focus day on means of implementation, how to better integrate these three pillars to have the greatest impact, and also build the capacities where they're needed. Understand what are those gaps and needs that countries face, because the different countries have different gaps and needs. So need to first understand what are those gaps and needs, and then come up with the best ways and means to address them, take into account the national context and national circumstances, particularly LDCs and least developed countries. So in a nutshell, capacity building is a cross-cutting area that's fundamental for implementing the Paris Agreement, and has to be needs to continue to be supported actively, particularly in the context of ensuring that those projects and programs are really addressing those gaps and needs.
Now, I'm going to say some words, and you need to tell me the first thing that pops to your mind. Capacity building.
Empowerment.
Climate change.
Action.
Multi-RAO.
Multi-RAO, connection, coming together.
Perfect. Thank you. And we're back, besties. So the third pillar of our amazing triangle.
Last but not least, technology transfer. And I managed to talk to our dear CB friend, Pemi Gasela, a technology executive committee member. Let's see what she had to say about technology transfer as part of the means of implementation.
So with COP30 being the COP for implementation, what is technology? Why is technology such an integral part of the means of implementation?
Well, firstly, you have to ask yourself, means of implementation is about the enabling tools. So technology is part of that enabling tool for climate action. So if we don't have technologies, it becomes difficult to move to the 1.5 degrees that we speak about. It's also difficult to implement the adaptations, mitigation actions that we speak about in the Paris Agreement. So it's important to have technology and not just technology that is not viable, but it must also be accessible, and it must also be technology that can be implemented throughout, as in it must be able to fit the standards of each and every country that it's implemented in.
Now a bit of a fireside chat. I'll say some words and then you say the first word that comes to mind. So if I say climate action.
What?
That was really fast.
It was too fast. Means of implementation.
Mochirao.
Cooperation.
Innovation.
Technology.
We're back, besties. 3 CV friends, 3 pillars, 1 triangle.
Now, the thing about this triangle, though, is that if one of its corners or one of its pillars is not strong enough, it simply falls apart, right? Think about it this way. Finance provides the resources, technology provides the tools, and capacity building is what glues it all together. So if there's a message that we want you to learn about this means of implementation day, is that we need to look at the means of implementation as holistic interconnection, right?
Everything is interconnected. That's one of the things that at UNU-EHS are always, we keep on repeating it. Everything is interconnected. And means of implementation is exactly that. So, well, thank you, besties. It was so nice to have this first show. And stay tuned. I think there will be coming many more, many CV friends ready to talk to you and tell you what's happening here at COP30.
See you on the next one.
Bye, besties.
Bye, besties.